everybody, and welcome to the educational lecture series, How Does Grant County Work?, hosted by the Grant County Democratic Party. This is a series of civic topics that informs the citizens and voters of Grant County about what happens in the county. So we've had Chuck Dills, our judge exec, talk about his role. We've had Tabitha Clemens, our county clerk, talk about her role. And tonight we're really pleased to bring to you Regine Jump, and she's going to talk about her role as circuit clerk in Grant County. So without further ado, here you go.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you all for having me tonight. I was doing a little bit of research today, and I wanted to start by telling you guys how long the circuit clerks had been in the state of Kentucky. So I spent about 20 minutes Googling that topic. When was the first circuit clerk appointed or elected in Kentucky? And it must be a big secret because I never could find the answer to that question. So sorry that I couldn't share that with you tonight. As Jennifer said, I am the circuit clerk. This is my first term. I was elected. I won the primary last year in May and didn't have any opposition in the general election. This is my first term as circuit clerk. However, I have been employed in the circuit clerk's office. It will be 20 years in June. So I've been there a minute. Like I said, it is an elected position, and it is a 6-year term. I have 10 employees in my office. The number of employees that I have is governed by a little bit by population, but more statistical information is gathered based on our caseload and how long they think it takes to do a job. They do a calculation and figure out how many people they think we need. And right now we are at 10. I don't have any discretion about those numbers, about hiring more. So the circuit clerk is the official record keeper for the courts. We don't create the record. We don't prepare orders. We don't prepare documents. We simply file and keep what is presented to us. So Shirley brought me some topics, and I'm going to try to answer a few of those, about how you're budgeted and things like that. We are employed by the Administrative Office of the Courts. The Administrative Office of the Courts was established in 1976, and their role for us is pay. They pay us. They support us in things that we do. And I'm not one to read. I don't like to get up in front of a crowd and read, but I wanted to make sure I gave you all this accurate information. The Administrative Office of the Courts carries out duties that are mandated by the Kentucky Constitution. That includes administering the judicial branch budget, building and maintaining court facilities. You all know that we did get a new judicial center about 8 years ago. They maintain court statistics through a statewide case management system. That's where they get all their statistical information based on the cases that we open, the cases that we close, the cases that are on appeal, and things like that. They administer personnel policies. They are our HR department. When we have employee issues or hiring things that need to be done, we get that done through the Administrative Office of the Courts. And they provide educational programs for the circuit clerks, the judges, and other judicial staff. So any new programs that are implemented, they usually come on site and train us. Over the last couple of years, we've spent a lot of time with them. We have gotten e-citations over the last few years. You know, police officers used to handwrite tickets, and it would take us hours to key that information in. Now those tickets are sent to us electronically. We can process 100 tickets in about 2 minutes. We've gotten the e-citations. We now have e-filing where attorneys can file cases without having to come and see our lovely faces. Eventually, that will become mandatory for attorneys. They'll no longer be able to walk in and file those at our office. We have updated our case management system in the last year. We have updated in the last month or so the way that we receive payments. So we spend a lot of time with staff at AOC, and they're a great help to us. We've really had some good individuals training us lately and help us with things that they're not even there for. You know, any problem that we have, they're happy to help us. So I want to give you the technical definition of what the circuit clerk does, and then I'll just kind of give you a better rundown in my terms. Like I said, the clerk is the official record keeper for the courts. We perform administrative duties in the criminal and civil justice system. We assist other officers of the court as well as judges and lawyers. We maintain court records, administer oaths to witnesses and jurors, and we authenticate copies of court orders and judgments with the court's seal. So I want to tell you, just in my terms, what we do. Of course, we issue driver's license in a circuit clerk's office. And I think, you know, the mainstream resident of Grant County, that's the only contact that they ever have with our office. So they don't really associate any of our other duties with that office. In fact, a lot of people confuse Tabitha's office with our office and vice versa. You know, we get a lot of phone calls for them. They get a lot for us. So people don't really understand. I've joked before about driver's license is just a little sideshow that we've got going on. It's not really the crux of what we do in that office. We do any court case that anybody would have to come to court for. We do criminal cases, anything from a common seatbelt ticket to a murder charge. We do civil cases, $500 to whatever infant number you could come up with. We do foreclosures, we do divorces, probate cases, small claims, evictions, mental health cases where maybe an older person has become mentally or physically disabled. We do adoptions. We do juvenile cases, both status offenses like a youthful offender, as well as DNA cases. Those DNA cases are dependency, abuse, and neglect. And we have seen a tremendous rise in those numbers over the last few years that is directly related to the opioid crisis. Everybody's familiar with that. So that is just some of the things that we handle. So in that, we prepare court dockets. Like you said, we maintain the court files, send out orders that the judges sign, just any almost secretarial job that you might think would be done in a normal office. We're just handling court dockets. We take a lot of phone calls, and because we do so many different things in the office, you can answer 10 phone calls in a row. None of them are the same topic. None of them have the same question. So it's pretty fast-paced, and it's always interesting for us that work there. You know, it's not monotonous. It's never boring. We see a lot of things that are sad. We don't do a lot of happy things. And, you know, if somebody's coming to court, it's not usually a happy occurrence. The one thing that we do that is happy is adoptions. Beyond that, you know, if people are coming to court, it's not usually for a good reason. So, but the majority of people, like I said, in the county, don't have too much involvement with us except for their driver's license. So I know that everybody, speaking of driver's license, has a lot of questions about when the travel ID is going to be implemented. Now, let me explain what the travel ID is. The reason that we are implementing the travel ID is because it is a federal mandate that we comply with the federal regulations for getting a travel ID. Now, we are okay to fly with our current credentials until October of 2020. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. There's a lot of kind of sort of panic with people thinking that in the near future they're not going to be able to get on an airplane. We have been granted an extension until, again, October of 2020. So there's no rush right now to do anything. Obviously, we're not issuing travel IDs. Nobody is in the state of Kentucky. I think they were premature in announcing that they would roll out in January of 2019. Obviously, they were premature in that. We were supposed to go live the first week of April. We were supposed to follow a couple of pilot counties. Those pilot counties, as of today, have not went live either. So I cannot give you a date as to when the travel ID will be implemented. And I know that's frustrating for some people, but I would prefer that they hold off on the rollout until they work out all of their issues. There's 120 counties that issue driver's license, but there's a total of 140 locations. Some larger counties have several offices that issue. There's limited staff at DOT, believe it or not, that answers our phone calls. So if they implement this with problems, we're going to have 120 counties trying to call DOT all at the same time, and you can understand what a customer service nightmare that would be. And our hands are tied a lot with driver's license. We're kind of the middleman. You know, there are things that DOT has to key in. We cannot. So, like I said, I'm hopeful that they will work out the kinks before they launch it. Now, my husband is in coroner's training at Louisville this week, and I talked to him right before I came up here, and he said it came across his, I cannot confirm or deny this, but he said it came across his feed, his news feed earlier, that there had been an announcement that they had suspended the rollout indefinitely. Now, like I said, I can't confirm or deny that, but, you know, it is what it is. So, I did bring some pamphlets tonight that talk a little bit about the travel ID. It is optional. You can still get a regular driver's license. I brought some pamphlets that touch briefly on the documentation that you will need, because that's going to be the biggest change for people. If you want the travel ID, you can no longer come in and hand me your driver's license and say, I want the travel ID. There's going to be documentation, proof of identity, proof of social security, proof of address. There's also going to be bridging documents for married people, that their name is different on their birth certificate than it is on their social security card, so you have to show why that is. So you'll have to have your marriage certificate. Standing here, I'm your circuit clerk, and I had to get my marriage certificate because I have been married 29 years and I did not know where it was. So that's the most important thing that I would mention to people right now, is not focused on when it's coming, but if you want to get the travel ID when it is released, get on top of getting your documents, because a lot of people don't have what they need. So that would be my advice. But I did bring some pamphlets tonight, and there is a website listed on there. It's it's drive.ky.gov. And it's on the front of this pamphlet, and it's always going to have the most up-to-date information. And there is a wonderful tool on there that actually walks you through. It asks you a series of questions about, do you want a travel ID, do you want a standard? Then it asks you, it tells you, you need this. I mean, it walks you through the whole process. And it will print you a list specific to you at the end of that process that tells you the documents that you need to bring. So I can't stress enough going to this website, because all of the updated information will be on there. So I brought that for you tonight.
Is the holdup, has it been a legal one? Is there something to do with technology?
I think the main holdup is the technology. We went to training February. End of February we went to training, and they were still testing, or it just started testing.
There's a little chip in there, inside your license. It's going to have all this.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that it is the technology as far as printing the license. I think it's more technology because the licenses will not be printed here. That is one major change as well. You will no longer get a license in our office. You will get a piece of paper that's your temporary license. Those licenses will be printed off-site. So I don't think the delay is that. I think it's just in the process. We have a system now, it's called Kidless, where we actually go in and issue the license. And I think it's more of getting those to the Kidless system to work with the software needed for the printer and the camera. I think that's more the delays, just issues there. And then there's issues, it's a federal compliance, so, we have to comply with what the federal government has asked us to comply with. So I can't tell you specifically what the issues are. They don't really tell us. They just, we're still testing or whatever. That's really all that we get. So I can answer any more questions about that at the end. In addition to all the other duties that we do, we have a charity project, if you will, within our offices. Kentucky Circuit Court's Trust for Life was started to promote organ donation. We actually are required, that's not something that we just do, we are required to ask every person receiving a license if they want to be an organ donor or if they want to make a donation to the organ donor program. So that's something that my office is really involved in. We enjoy promoting organ donation. I think we all probably know somebody that's been touched by that. And I wanted to let everybody know it's Organ Donation Awareness Month, and every year we go all out to promote organ donor awareness, and we have a wonderful display set up in the office, and I would love for you all to stop by and see it. Our theme this year is Wanted. So we have wanted posters for all the organs, and we have a Western setting. We have a campfire, and we made a cactus. It took us 2 days to make the cactus, but we get really excited about that. So that's something else that the clerks do. So we promote organ donor awareness, and I think I made a mistake when I turned down that water. Oh, thank you. I brought some little goodies tonight, some koozies and some ink pens and some bracelets and sunglasses. So they're in that bag. I'll lay them out, and you all are welcome to help yourself to those. So if anybody has questions.
The travel ID, if a person chooses not to get that ID, they choose their passport when they travel?
You can use your passport, yes, when you travel. And I want to say something else about the travel ID. It's not just to travel. There will be you will not be able to get onto a military base without a travel ID. And there's certain government buildings that you won't be able to access. So it's not just about the travel. Tammy has a sister that she goes to a military base often. So for that reason, she will need to get that. And here's what I would suggest to anybody. People say, I'm not going to fly. Well, you never know. You could have a family member, an accident in another state. Excuse me, I had to travel to Minnesota several years ago to the Mayo Clinic. I couldn't have foreseen that. So, people say, oh, I'm not going to fly. Well, maybe you're not, but, maybe you think you're not, but you never know. So I would encourage everybody to get the travel ID. It's a choice, you don't have to, but that was what I would recommend.
Can you look at your license? Does it say they're an organ donor?
Yes. Yes, it has the little heart on it. Yes.
A heart.
Yes.
Right on the corner up there.
You are.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And once you're on the registry, we cannot remove you. You have to make a phone call. We have a number that you have to call. Once you're on there, we can't remove you. So.
Does your office still do passport?
No. No, and Williamstown Post Office did do them, but I think it's my understanding now that they do not. I think Pendleton County does.
I went to Scott County, I went to Georgetown, my daughter last year.
Okay, yeah. Yes, sir.
Cost more for the new license?
That's a good question. That's a good question. So, you're going to have a choice initially. Initially, you're going to have a choice whether you want to renew or get your license for 4 years or 8 years. If you get it for 4, it's going to be $21.50, which is $1.50 more than it is now. If you choose to do it for 8 years, it's going to be $43. My question was, why are we giving people a choice? I think choices cause confusion. You know, if Bill's at the barber shop and he says, my license is good for 4 years, and Paul says, oh, no, it's good for 8, you know, it causes confusion. But the reason for that, Governor Bevin stepped in and said, you know, Kentucky is a poor state. And his concern was that people would come in not knowing initially that it was going to be $43 and not, it's currently $20. And he thought that would be a hardship on people. So through 2023, and this could all change, because if we don't roll out till 2022, you know, this could all change. But so initially you're going to have a choice. It's still 4 year or an 8 year. So it's very comparable in price. There's not a huge increase. I think the increase, and I can't quote these numbers to you, I think the increase is going to be if you get into a CDL situation. Those are probably going to go up a little bit.
We have a question online.
Okay.
So, I will need a new ID just to travel. Is this separate from my license? I think it's doing this.
It will not be separate from your license. You can get a standard license or a travel ID. The travel ID will serve as both your driver's license and your travel ID. It will not be separate. It will be all one card. I'm glad somebody's watching. It's exciting.
Can you get 8 years now, or that's?
No, that will be when it rolls out. No, we can't do the 8 year now. Does anybody have any questions about the office other than driver's license?
Do you manage jury duty?
We do. Well, the jury duty is managed by the clerk's office. We are fortunate, very, very fortunate in Grant County. Our circuit judge secretary takes care of that for us. But we do have to clerk the jury trials, and we're a part of it. She sends out the jury summonses and the calendars to let them know to be there. But that typically, yes, is done in the clerk's office. The judge's office took that over, 15 years ago. And we're thankful. You know, we have lots to do. We're not sitting around going, gee, I wish we could send those jury summonses out. So we're fortunate at that.
How are the jurors elected?
Elected or chosen?
Chosen.
Okay, that is a good question. You're wonderful. I love your questions. It's been a myth that if you're registered to vote, that's the only way that you're going to get selected for jury duty. And in fact, we still have people say, no, I'm not registered to vote. I don't want to be a juror. Well, the truth is, if you are a property owner, if you own a vehicle, if you have a driver's license, any database where you have your name listed, you can potentially be pulled for jury duty. So what we do is we request those names from Frankfurt. It's not a list that we draw up. We tell them we want 400 names, and they send us 400 randomly picked names. And usually if we get 400 names, we can qualify about 150 people. The reason for that is a lot of people don't keep their addresses updated on their driver's license and things like that. So we will send summonses to people that no longer live in the county or have other reasons why they can't serve. So it takes about, like I said, a list of about 400 to qualify 150.
Is that every county? Does every county do the same thing?
It's the same process. There is a jury management system that is statewide. And then they even, when we have a trial, that management system pulls the jurors randomly. We used to have a cigar box and what we referred to as Scrabble tiles with numbers on them. And literally that's how we pulled a jury. But we're more sophisticated than that now. So.
I bet people question yesterday about the signing up the vote. And I said, I'm sure it's not that.
Well, it's pulled from there. It's pulled from there, but it's pulled from other places. You've probably got to be off the grid completely to not be a potential juror.
Okay, I may win the dumb question of the day.
No.
What is a circuit? You're a circuit clerk.
Mhm. The
What is a circuit?
state, well, I guess there's different ways to answer that question. We have district court and circuit court. Okay, so those are determined, the district court cases, a lot of them, the small claims, the district civil cases, like where somebody owes you money, those are determined by an amount of money that is owed. Circuit court, you file if somebody owes you more than $5,000. Okay? Foreclosures are filed in circuit court. So it's kind of I've kind of got two answers here. So that's how that's determined. You have district court cases, you have circuit court cases. So we have district judges and circuit judges. But if you want to ask what a circuit is, we are divided up into judicial circuits. So our circuit is Grant, Carroll, and Owen. So our judges not only handle cases in Grant County, they handle in Carroll and Owen as well. And those were districted by the state, and some of them are a little weird the way they're divided up. Boone is Gallatin, and kind of strange the way they've divided those up. You don't have any questions, Bill?
Who is the favorite one?
I refuse to answer that.
Other than the driver's license issue, what are your biggest challenges in the department?
I think the biggest challenge, one of the biggest, is that things are always changing. There's House bills and Senate bills that are passed that affect what we do. DUI laws change, expungement laws change. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is keeping up to date. You know, we're a smaller office, so we have to kind of know how to do everything. You know, in like Jefferson County, you might do small claims all day and that's all you ever do and that's all you ever learn. It's easy to stay on top of that. It's not so easy when you're in a county where you're expected to kind of have your hands in everything. So I think that's the biggest challenge. That, and sometimes the technology. We've gotten some great technology updates, but they usually come with some headaches and some hassles, and AOC is very good about working those out with us. But we've got some issues right now. We've received money through the EQ that's supposed to go to Owen County. You know, it's internal issues, not anything that we've done. It's in the technology that the state has implemented, and they're great about working them out. But we've got some challenges there.
Media. What is it, like when your license expires, like I said, in June, how long do you have to,
You have a year before you have to retest.
you have a year?
You have a year. It can be expired up to a year before you have to retest. And I had to read a test to somebody a few months ago. I was helping out the driver's license examiner. And I don't want to take that test again. So I would encourage you to not let your license expire for a year.
How does that work when there's a person in jail?
If they're expired over a year, they have to come in and test. If it's long enough, if it's over 5 years, they have to start over with a permit. So there's no accommodation for someone being incarcerated. So, and you asked what the biggest challenge was. I think that technology sometimes is an issue, and I think one of our biggest challenges is just what we deal with. Like I said, there's a lot of sad stuff in this county that we wouldn't know about if we didn't work there. And it's hard to deal with people's emotions. You know, it's just, sometimes it's very taxing on you emotionally.
Does the state offer you any support?
We do. Our human resources has counseling if we need it, and it's KEEP, it's Kentucky KEHP, but we do have resources out there, yeah. But it can be really, you get a taste of the county that is not pretty sometimes. It can make you a little cynical, I guess, but we try to do some projects in the community, and we donate food to the food pantry, and that makes us feel good, and we do the Trust for Life stuff, and but that's a challenge too. Some days is just the sadness and things like that.
Give me an idea of some numbers. How many court cases are there, a
Okay.
day, a week, a month?
This-
How many driver's licenses? do
This will
you-
probably be surprising to you, but if we have circuit motion day with Judge Knight, which is criminal felony offenses and civil cases over $5,000 and foreclosures and things like that, we have court tomorrow. We have 90 criminals on the docket. We have 19 cases that are being presented to the grand jury. We have civil cases, we have adoptions, we have some domestic violence cases that Judge Knight has to have. So total tomorrow, we've probably got about 160 cases to hear. We have district court every Monday. And on a heavy Monday, we'll have upwards of 200 between prepayable tickets. Yes, it's staggering. Our juvenile dockets, because of the opioid crisis and the number of children that are removed from homes because of that, we might have as many as 90 of those cases on a Tuesday, and then we have evictions, small claims. So on a heavy week when we have circuit court, I would say that we could possibly hear 500 to 600 cases in a week.
Yeah.
It's staggering.
Just Grant County.
Mhm. Yeah.
How often does the circuit meet?
Twice a month. And the reason that we don't have court as often in Grant County is because you have judges that are traveling. For instance, Judge Funk and Judge Chandler do 2 days in Grant, 2 days in Owen, or 2 days in Carroll and 1 day in Owen. So when you don't see a judge in Grant County, it doesn't mean that they're not working. It just means that, but yeah, the numbers are,
I was thinking like dozens.
no, hundreds. And it's very, another challenge, it's very fast paced, you got to get Monday's court done because you got court next Monday. You don't tell the judge on Monday morning, well, I didn't get around to running the docket, got to get it done. It's not do it when you feel like it's do it when it's laying there.
What
So,
about driver's licenses?
I wish I had a number for you about how many we issue in a month.
How many are there in Grant County? How many people have driver's licenses?
That's a good question that I don't know the answer to. I would say, how many there's 17 to 20,000 registered voters. Wouldn't you say? So, you take that number and add a pretty good percentage of people that aren't registered that are drivers.
It's supposed to be 25,000 residents
Mhm.
in Grant County,
Mhm.
so.
Of course, they only come in every 4 years. So it's not like Tabitha. We don't see those people every year. So our numbers are not going to be anything, like hers for getting call tags. And that's something, when we get to an 8-year cycle, it's going to be scarce probably for a period of time. So.
Do you work with juvenile advocacy groups, the volunteers?
We work with a tremendous amount of groups and offices. We work with the county attorney, the Commonwealth attorney. We work closely with the jail, probation and parole, pretrial services. They interview prisoners and get their bonds set. We work with Department of Juvenile Justice and the cabinet. Who am I leaving out? Attorneys who are both private attorneys and attorneys that are appointed as GALs in cases. I think this is something there's just, people aren't educated. If we have a case that involves a child being removed from the home, we have to appoint a GA, if they don't have private attorneys, which most of them don't, we have to appoint a GAL for the mom, a GAL for the dad, and a GAL for the children. So, guardian ad litem, I'm sorry. Guardian ad litem, it's a state-provided attorney that represents that person's interest. So, in one dependency, abuse, and neglect case, you're going to have 3 attorneys involved, plus the prosecutor, plus the cabinet workers, so there's a lot of people. We work with the court designated worker. She does juvenile offenses. If somebody gets in a fight at school, criminal trespass or something like that, and she works with them. She tries to divert some of those cases to keep them from going to court. But there's a lot of players in what we do. There's a lot of people involved, and so we're getting information from all of those people. It all lands in our office. So we have an overwhelming amount of paperwork. But we love what we do. Like I said, it's never dull. It's never boring. It's never the same thing every day. And I can speak for me and Tammy. We really love the work that we do. So, and I know the other girls too. I have a great bunch of girls.
Why is your office an elected office?
The Constitution says so.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill.
Had to.
Right, we're telling them just that, if they're interested in court, anything other than juveniles.
Oh, yeah.
It's open to the public.
I mean, I think it would be a great educational experience. Juvenile cases, adoptions, and things like that are confidential. You can't attend those. But I think it would be very, very educational for people. I hear a lot of negative comments about the opioid crisis and the county's not doing anything about it. I hear a lot of negativity. And I just wish that people would see what is being done.
What are the open court days or times?
We have district court every Monday, district criminal every Monday morning, which is basically speeding tickets, no insurance. There's some assaults thrown in there, but the more serious crimes we have twice a month on Wednesdays, and we start at 8:30. We have court tomorrow, and then we have court May 1st. I have a schedule. I mean, anybody's welcome to call me and get that schedule. But I think it would be an eye-opening experience. Just like you said, you had no idea. You're thinking dozens of people during a week. But it's a lot. It's a lot.
Is the docket public?
The dockets are public. Everything's public record with the exception of juvenile cases, adoptions, or mental health cases, and then there's some information in the domestic violence cases that are confidential, the petitioner's address and things like that.
Do you access that online?
You can get on CourtNet, and you can access that information, the dockets. We're moving to an electronic docket. That's part of the reason that it's going to be mandatory for attorneys to e-file, and this is going to be a huge adjustment for us. We'll no longer have paper files. It's hard for me to wrap my head around that. That's what we've known forever, is that original is the record. So it's going to be a little different. Getting used to that.
Is that a third party that's doing your electronic docket, or is it done in-house?
The dockets are ran in our office.
I mean,
And then that information is on that CourtNet site.
that's a third party.
Does AOC, I believe that the administrative office of the courts is in charge of that, so it's still within our court system. So we're responsible. That brings me to something else. I could talk all day, so you all just tell me when you want me to stop. That brings me to something else. When you run your background check, we are the people responsible, the circuit clerks and their deputies, those are the people responsible for what is on that background check. We key that information in. From a seatbelt ticket to a murder charge, we key that sentencing information in. So that's how it makes it to your criminal record, so. Yeah. So people have no idea what goes on. They say, oh, you do driver's license. I'm like, yeah, we do driver's license. So, but it's exciting and fun. And we love it. Maybe we're crazy, but we love it. So, anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'm going to leave these pamphlets here. You all can take as many as you like, and there's plenty more in the office. And like I said, that website's on here, and that's going to be your best tool for staying updated. As soon as I know a release date, I'll be happy to share it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Regina. That was amazing information. So we try to quit at 6:15 so we can go to fiscal court. A lot of people came in behind me when I was sitting there, so welcome everybody. I just wanted to highlight one event that we agreed on that we're going to have coming up, and that is Saturday, May 11th. So in a few weeks here, Saturday, May 11th, from 10 to 12, we're going to meet at North Star Cafe in Corinth. And we're going to talk about all the candidates that are going to be on this primary election in May. So we're not going to necessarily agree on candidates, but we're going to present different candidates, talk about who we like, what we like about them, have a little mock election, and we'll have a little breakfast together. It's not hosted, so everybody's on their own for breakfast, but we think it'd be a good opportunity to learn about who the candidates are, and I'm going to try to invite as many as I can and see if somebody's shooting up and down I-75, maybe they could stop by and have breakfast with us and give us their pitch. Does anybody else have any other things to add? All right, we're going to wrap up and adjourn the meeting and head on over to fiscal court if you so desire.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Don't forget to